My name is Adrian Coyle, and today I'm going to provide a brief introduction to an approach to research in the social sciences known as discourse analysis. Discourse analysis has been around as a research perspective in the social sciences for quite some time, and you can find different versions of it, both within and across disciplines. The focus of discourse analysis is on language use. Now, social scientists have long worked with linguistic data in the form of written responses to questionnaire items or spoken responses to interview questions. In my own discipline of psychology, those linguistic data have routinely been assumed to reflect people's underlying cognitions, emotions, behaviours and experiences. Discourse analysis invites us to see language use in a different way, as constructing social and psychological life rather than reflecting it. This can be quite hard to get your head around because it asks us to think about language use in quite a different way from our usual treatment of language as reflecting the things of which it speaks. Discourse analysis sees language in social and functional terms. When people use language, they are seen as crafting versions of their worlds. Discourse analysts are interested in what versions of the world are collectively created when people use language in particular settings, how those versions are created through language, and what social functions they orient towards. In other words, the question is, what are the social implications of constructing this aspect of our world in this way? Various types of qualitative data lend themselves to discourse analysis. Some analysts prefer to work with what they call naturally occurring data, that is, data that would have existed anyway, even if the research wasn't happening. Examples are newspaper and magazine articles, transcripts of television programs, transcripts of meetings or conversations. Other discourse analysts would also use interview data, particularly focus group data. I want to take an example of naturally occurring data and offer some analytic suggestions about it, just to give you some sense of discourse analysis in operation. The data I'm going to use are the lyrics of a song by Dolly Parton. Now, that might seem a bit frivolous, but regular cultural artifacts like songs tend to embody important, taken-for-granted social constructs, and they can reinforce the status of those constructs as cultural common sense. This is one of the fascinating things that discourse analysis equips us to do. It can help us to crack open the stuff of our social lives and ask critical questions about the assumptions that give shape and substance to our social world. The song that I'm going to focus on is called Better Get to Livin', which was written by Dolly Parton and Kent Wells. It appeared on her 2007 album Backwoods Barbie and was the first single from that album. I've chosen this song because it provides insight into some standard ways in which psychological or existential distress is represented in terms of its nature and implications and how it should be responded to. We don't have time to look at the lyrics in detail, but it's worth noting that the version of distress worked up in the song is highly gendered. It's women who are being addressed and whose distress is the focus of the song. And what remedy is offered for women's distress? Well, to quote her directly, Dolly's advice is, "You'd better get to livin', givin', be willin' and forgivin', 'cause all healin' has to start with you. You better stop whinin', pinin', get your dreams in line and then just shine, design, refine till they come true, and you better get to livin'." Look at the language. There's a succession of imperatives or orders. Get to livin', be willin', stop whinin', get your dreams in line, shine, design, refine. These occur alongside participles or ongoing action words, creating a sense of a need for the female listener to swing into immediate action. Note where the responsibility for remedying distress is laid. It's all down to the individual female listener to engage in individual action, although God is given a supporting role towards the end of the song. As Dolly sings, all healing has to start with you. So presumably if your distress doesn't lift, it's because you haven't tried hard enough. Across the song then, a highly individualized version of psychological distress is built up. We might not identify this at first listen because it embodies a now standard Western capitalist way of conceptualizing people as individual units who are, or should be, responsible for themselves. Also, the song's message is couched within a recognizable and perhaps attractive cultural discourse of self-help or even empowerment. There's no indication that psychological distress may be understood in a collective, social, institutional way, or that the possibility of remedying distress through individual action may be limited. Now, it might have been asking too much to expect a Dolly Parton song to offer a critical deconstruction of female distress, although you can sometimes find aspects of this in country and Western songs. What a discourse analysis of the lyrics can do, though, is provide some insights into how psychological distress is talked about and constructed in Western cultures, the broader discourses or patterns of language use that are drawn upon, and the social implications of this. Check out the song's lyrics and video online for yourself and see if you can apply the basic questions of discourse analysis to extend or query the outline interpretation that I've offered here.